Stand by for the Brewery Underground Podcast.
In Nashville's harbor rise, cracked and bruised when we've disguised. Stephen Scott, they lead the way. Brewery Underground, night and day. Raise your glass, let's ignite. In this city, we unite. Raise your glass, let's ignite. In this city, we unite.
Well, welcome to year 3 of the Brewery Underground Podcast. We have been talking about this one for a while. You know, we've been teasing this, everybody. And we're here. We're back in 2026 for year 3, Scott Turan. And we're starting this off with a banger.
With the banger, if you told me we were going 3 seasons, I'd have lost money on that bet. But here we are. And we're starting off 2026 with a bang.
We got Steve Ksycki. He is the CEO and of the import division for Hofbräuhaus here in America. Is that right, sir?
Yeah, I actually oversee our entire business, both the import and franchise. So,
All right. And Jerry Bishop, who is the regional sales manager, and he covers territories like Ohio, Michigan, Kentucky, and here in Tennessee. And guys, as we said, we are so excited and so very pleased that you all are joining us today.
It's great to be here.
Yes,
Yep, very happy.
welcome. So
Yeah.
let's if you want to start out, because I'm dying to do this. Let's let's show what we're drinking, because I've got Hofbräuhaus beer and I've got the Dunkel. That's what I actually started with, the original.
Yep.
That's already gone, and I'm on to
Nice.
something else. But I've got the Dunkel, and I got plenty more too. So when that one runs out, I got something else too. And we got them in our mosses, right? Is that
Yep.
the proper
Right.
term for it?
Yes. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Jerry, what have you got?
So I have our original. So I don't know if you can see it because I have the goofy background on, but it's our original lager, a wonderful German lager. So,
It's fantastic.
so every time
Steve,
I dip
what
the
about you?
beer, it's because I'm taking a drink. I might dip the beer a lot.
It's okay. We know what you're doing.
Yeah.
All right. Just keeping it all up front.
Steve, how about you? What have you got?
I do not have a beer in front of me right now, guys. I didn't grab one.
Okay.
Well,
You need
that's
me to go
okay.
get one?
If you certainly can go grab one if you want to.
Yeah. I go get one.
Or I could drink 2 for him.
I was telling Steve, when you pour a beer into these, it just looks so tiny when you just put in one into
Well,
these steins.
Yeah. So that's so up to the line is a full liter. So you're looking at more than 2 regular beers, basically.
Yeah. It looks like you could just chug it when you just have one in there, because there's just so much,
Well,
so much room left.
that's when you kind of get in trouble.
Yeah.
Just a little bit.
I'm
Oh,
pouring
Steve's got him a
myself
nice
a nice
glass.
Hefeweizen, so I'm
Nice. In the
pouring
proper
myself
glass?
one of our Hefeweizen beers.
Okay.
So this is our Bavarian Hefeweizen. So letting it settle up a little bit, but we'll give it a couple seconds, and I can prost with you guys.
There you go.
Perfect.
Yeah, we're
Perfect.
doing it
And-
all
and-
in style.
And that's
Yep.
the proper glassware too, right, Steve?
Oh yeah, you got to have the right glassware. Glassware is important for, right? Yeah, you guys know this, for a lot of different reasons, not just for appearance sake, but also for for the beer's attributes, and kind of roping us in with a good look and accentuating aromas and things like that too. So very important.
Absolutely. That's actually something we're learning more about, and will probably be a episode at some point, proper glassware down the road.
Yeah.
So something we're kind of working on.
It's been a never-ending challenge getting people away from the pint glass and into something that's more suited to show the beer off the way it's supposed to look, as well as again build on those key attributes like aroma and where the beer hits your mouth, your tongue, and such like that. So, but
And it really
Yeah.
is worth yeah, it's really worth the extra effort to do it that way, to do it properly.
It is. There are
Might
certain
be worth
places.
it.
If you go to certain bars and tap rooms, and like you said, everything's just in a pint glass. Everything just goes in the pint glass.
Well, that's for simplicity because they stack real easy, they clean real easy. It's just not as much effort. Like I said, it's worth it to take the extra effort and treat your customers to a really good presentation.
Yeah.
It is, and there's such an appreciation for it too when you start realizing, oh, that is the proper glassware, and I am getting the proper things out of it because I got the right beer in the glass. Steve Sullivan, what have you got?
Well, I have the Dunkel here, and man, I'm looking forward to toasting everybody
Why?
on the
Why is there
Dunkel.
so much? Why is there so much in your glass?
Well, I got two of them there. Got two of them. I'm not slowing down tonight. That's all right. Got to
You
do
won't
it
be
in
slowed down.
style. I know it. But the other thing, real quick, before we get into all the wonderful questions that we have, we also have to talk about what we're wearing tonight as well, because we have to thank Selena who had sent us these, and we've got the shirts, we got the pins, we got the hats. I even got the bottle opener.
Yes, mine is here somewhere. Yes, I got the
There
bottle
you
opener. We
Yeah.
came prepared. Yeah, and thank you guys and Selena for getting this stuff to us. It's remarkable. It's wonderful stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah,
she does a
I don't even
fantastic
have
job.
half that stuff.
You know, I know someone that could get it for you.
Yeah,
Nice.
yeah.
No, Steve, I told these guys I was wearing the shirt just like that, and I told my wife that I better change because Selena sent those guys those shirts, and sure enough, they'd be wearing them. And they were.
Yeah. Yeah, Selena does a wonderful job representing our brand with marketing and great connections like you guys, and obviously the items to promote our brand and help with brand awareness. So we're very
Yeah.
happy and lucky to have her. So
Well, and she helped bring this all together because really we've been talking about doing this for probably about a year or so and trying to coordinate everybody's schedules and things like that. And look, we knew that it may take some time to get you guys together, but what you do is very important for the Hofbrau brand. So certainly want to talk to you all about it tonight. So let's begin with you, Steve. Let's really talk about your role and what you do with the Hofbräuhaus of America.
yeah, I've been with the Hofbräu side of the business here in the United States since roughly 2011. So in one way, shape, or form, originally as a working directly for Fred Schumacher, who was the original president of Hofbräuhaus of America, and then I was a brief stint as our U.S. brand manager, and then when the Hofbrau Brewery took back the brand importing rights in 2018. That's when I became more back involved with Hofbräuhaus of America, directly managing our import business. And then we've evolved a little further along, and now we also have, has always been part of the Hofbräuhaus, has been our franchises, our restaurant businesses, which you guys are familiar with. The Hofbräuhaus down there in Cincinnati. There's also actually they just had their 20th anniversary. The Hofbräuhaus in Vegas just had their 20th anniversary. And then we've also got Pittsburgh, Columbus, and Buffalo as well. So, and that's our franchise side of the business. So overall, we bring beer over from Munich, and then the restaurants here, they all with the exception of Vegas, they do have their own breweries. They brew on site under supervision from Munich. We have an international brewmaster that visits them on frequent schedules to make sure that they are maintaining the qualities that the brewery requires of them, as well as they frequently send samples back over to Munich for testing to make sure again that the beer meets the requirements of the Hofbrau Brewery.
And Steve, you are in Las Vegas, is that right?
Actually, we are a nationwide company, so we're
Mhm.
sprinkled all over the place.
Yep.
Our headquarters, our office, I guess you would say, is in Vegas because that's where our accounting and logistics person is.
Mhm.
So she's in Vegas, and Jerry and myself, we're out in our own markets. I actually am in Wisconsin, right over the
Oh,
border,
gotcha.
from Illinois, and Jerry's out in Ohio. We have 11 different people on our sales team around the country, each based in different markets. And then our president of franchise, he's actually based out in Pittsburgh. But again, we're a national company, so everybody's usually on a plane or in a car dealing with the other places. So setting our roots in one place
Awesome.
is a bit of a challenge.
Awesome. Yeah, absolutely.
Got to cover a
And
lot of ground.
Yeah.
yeah. And Jerry, tell us what you do for the company.
So I'm an area manager, so I work with our distributors basically. So anything that you consume outside of the Hofbräuhauses comes from Munich, and I work with making sure that the wholesalers get the product from Munich. So I cover Michigan, Ohio, Kentucky, Tennessee, and Indiana. So I have a whole bunch of really good wholesalers that work with us and do well. Also work well with the Hofbräuhauses in Cleveland and Columbus and Newport, just making sure we have a nice open line of communication there, and we're all kind of rowing the boat in the same direction. But yeah, so when Steve took over, he made some calls, and fortunately, one of my good friends recommended me, and Steve hired me, and so I've been with Steve since the beginning, just about. He's
Yep.
put up with me for going on 8 years now.
Mutual tolerance.
Maybe that goes back to that not everybody being in one spot at the same time.
Mhm.
We understand and appreciate each other's weaknesses.
There you go. There you go.
That's fair.
Well, cheers and pros to you
Yeah,
guys.
pros,
You know,
yep.
Roast.
pros, absolutely. Yeah.
Pros to you guys, definitely.
Can't see mine, but it's there.
It's there's guys, there's a new beer that's come to the States, and it's the Helles, right? The Hofbräuhaus Helles Lager.
Yes.
It's just kind of now hitting the States, and Jerry, I don't believe it's hit Tennessee yet. You could probably talk to that a little more. I think the distributors in town or in Tennessee haven't got it yet. But can you kind of talk about that? Has that beer been around in Germany for a while, and it's just kind of getting to the States?
Yeah, so the beer's been in Germany for a while. Actually, the style was developed or invented in the 19th century, and the Helles style, it's my understanding, was developed to compete with Pilsners, or to be sort of like Pilsners. But it has a little bit more body. It's a little more malt forward, but it's a very crisp and clean beer. So we've had it in Germany. I don't know how, Steve, when did they start producing it?
They've had it. Actually, it's been in Germany for quite a while. I shouldn't say Germany. It's been strictly Bavarian for quite some time. The brewery kept it mainly for the Bavarian market, exclusive it to the Hofbräuhaus, as well as some of their key on-premise outlets. And it's that was just it. It was very restricted, and I honestly cannot give you the full length of its availability. But again, as Jerry mentioned, it's a little lighter, 4.9 alcohol as well, so a little easier to drink. I guess that's as close to a German light beer as you're going to get, as a Helles and a 4.9% alcohol. So, but it wasn't until recently, with a lot of the changes we're seeing here in the market, with people paying more attention to alcohol content and along those lines, and non-alcoholic beers. It's also taking that kind of trajectory over there in Bavaria as well, and that brand and that style gained a lot of momentum. And it wasn't until they started getting calls from elsewhere outside of Bavaria that the brewery finally conceded to our complaints and opened it up to export. So we're very happy to have that. So.
Yeah, the other thing, we only bring it in cans, so it's only available in a 16.9 ounce can, which kind of offers a little more opportunity in different accounts to have it. As far as Tennessee, we'll work on that. It's I think they were kind of playing a little wait and see how it's doing everywhere else before we bring it in, but it's doing very well. So hopefully we'll have it in Nashville and the rest of Tennessee sometime in the spring. That's my goal.
We'll be looking for it.
Be on the lookout. Yeah.
Do you think the popularity, and you guys play in this field every day with the style of beers that Hofbräu makes, but do you think the popularity of lagers in the past several years maybe added to that beer coming over here, or the popularity of that style?
Well, I would have to say that, yes, lagers are certainly more popular, but Helles is also like the mainstay in Bavaria now. I mean, it's the most popular style there. So it only makes sense, if we're being authentic and we're being true to what we do, it only makes sense to bring it to America as well. But it does help that a lot of people are kind of turning away from um, the heavier, hoppier beers and moving into a more mainstream. They're kind of going back to where we started 400 years ago. So it's, you know, everything old is new, I guess. But
Yes.
yeah, the increased and new popularity of lagers certainly had helped in the decision to bring it over. And I think in the consumer's mind that they're trying it because of that. You
Yeah,
know,
you guys have to, from your perspective, you have to love that because it's all coming back full circle again, and people want better style beers. You know, as you said, they want they want some lower ABV beers, but the ones that really, are tasting good, and that's what you all have to offer.
Yeah. Jerry and I have been in this business for more years than we'd like to admit, and we've been a parts of other brands that we're proud of, and other ones again we prefer not to mention. But again, as Jerry mentioned, what's old is new, and there's a cycle here, and I mean we've seen this happen in the 90s, and it's coming around again. And the good thing about these cycles is they do open up people's minds and palates and show them there's a lot more opportunity for meeting new beers. But also, when everybody gets out there and tries everything, they always do come back to more or less you want to call it the founders or you know touchstone brands like a Hofbräu or Pilsner Quell, brands that are main brands or styles that established a lineage. And it's nice because again people go out, they experience, they learn, they ask questions. And the good thing about that is brands like us, they can come back to it and find a beer that's still produced in Munich, still a German owned company, actually owned by the state of Bavaria, and still brewing to the Reinheitsgebot in very strict accordance to what the brand was when you drank it there 400 years ago. So it's
yeah,
it's a good thing, like everything. Again,
yeah, it really,
people don't
it really
like
does
change.
us problem. Yeah, it really does us problem when we hear somebody compare their Dunkel to Hofbrau Dunkel or their Hefeweizen to our Hefeweizen. I mean, yeah, we've been doing the Dunkel for over 400 years. I mean, it's just so it's
Yeah.
it's kind of fun to hear those comparisons.
And I would imagine on occasion, maybe you guys hear this where you have maybe a younger consumer and they go, you know what? Here I am and I'm drinking this beer. And I remember my father or my grandfather telling me about it. And they're the ones that were drinking it. And maybe I haven't had it for a couple of years. And then all of a sudden, they're hooked and you got a new generation hooked onto it as well.
Yeah, it's really interesting the amount of younger people today who have had the opportunity to travel to Europe. So we do get a lot of people who've actually said that they've sat in the Hofbräuhaus. They might have been there with their father or grandparents on a trip or whatever. And of course, as you mentioned, so many individuals, from previous generations who might have served and spent time in Germany. Almost everybody, if they were over there, they hit the Hofbräuhaus at some point. So it's really interesting to hear those stories, and it's great because just about everybody, when they do talk to you about it, they usually have a story that incorporates it in some way, shape, or form. So again,
Yeah,
it's pretty cool.
yeah, absolutely. If we're doing a tasting or something like that, people love our beer. That goes without saying. But it's always interesting to hear the stories that come back. Yeah, my father did a tour, served in Germany, and he brought back this really neat Stein from Hofbrauhaus, and
Yeah.
or we went to Oktoberfest down the street, and they were serving. Just people love the beer, but the stories about the situations, the fond memories they have, or the great stories they have behind it, are just incredible. And you can imagine there are a ton of them. The people that have gone on class trips, as Steve said, the military, um, family reunions, whatever. They're people love it. I think because of the fondness they have for an occasion that they were part of, or someone in their family was part of.
Creating memories.
Yeah. I think that's something that beer is very good at. It brings people together and for purposes and and as well as enjoyment, but also more so than other products. I think beer has an emotional tie to it. Again, people remember having their beer at the Hofbräuhaus, or maybe being, at a particular, other country. Maybe they were in Belgium drinking, in Brussels, having a fantastic, Belgian ale or whatever. But the nice thing about beer is people tend to make those emotional connections with it, and with the particular brand as well, which gives us, I think, a total differentiating point from things like liquor and wine, because there's how many Euro lagers out there, but there's one Hofbrau original. So, a lot of ingredients and processes are all very similar, but there's little differences. But the biggest difference is when and where that person chose to remember and enjoy that beer their first time.
I
Yeah.
love that it's almost like the prodigal son returns. You send them out, hey, go drink all this other stuff, right? Go drink it. We'll be here when you get back, and go try it
Yep.
and come back, and we'll be right here when you come back.
Yep.
Yeah, it's kind of fun because a lot of people don't remember the beer because 5 years ago they really appreciated the Centennial hops that was in it, but they always remember where they had a Hofbrau. They always remember the circumstance, around it, and it's always very favorable. And again, it's fond memories that they associate it with.
When I was in Munich in June, and a group of us went, and we went to the Munich Hofbräuhaus, and unbeknownst to me, there are other places over there called Hofbräuhaus, but they're not the same. And I kind of learned that while I was over, not the hard way, but I just learned it while I was there. They're not all the same. Munich obviously is the historic one and the main one, but the only way you could tell, or that I learned, was the logos are different, right? The name's kind of the same, but the logos are different in all these different places. So it's kind of something to pay attention to. And can you talk about that a little bit? Like, do you guys get confused, or do they get confused with you guys?
Yeah, it's the word itself, Hofbrau, is quartz brew. So and that was reserved for breweries that brewed for royal houses in Bavaria. So Würzburg, for instance, has one. Freising. Anybody who had a royal house in it and a brewery, Hofbrau that brewery was the of quartz brew of that city or particular region or town. So again, it's kind of like over here we'd say the official beer of. But Hofbrau Munich superseded all, because Munich was the capital of Bavaria, is the capital of Bavaria. So that was the Hofbrau of all Hofbraus. So yeah, we get confused because so many people over here just call it Hofbrau.
Yeah.
So that's when people get used to it. And yeah, it was a bit of a learning curve for me as well when I started seeing other brands call themselves Hofbrau. I'm like, hey, wait a second, what's going on here? This is copyright infringement. What's going on? But
Yeah.
again, it's something that a little education can resolve for you. So
Yeah, there are nuances that are different. Like the logo again is the big thing. If you know what the logo is, that's the telltale.
yeah.
Like who's who.
Yeah, I actually went to a party at a friend's house once, and they thought they were being very nice and purchased some Hofbrau because they knew I was coming, but it was the wrong Hofbrau. So I didn't know how to break it to them when I was drinking something else.
Well,
Did you refuse to drink it?
Well, I didn't drink it. I drank something else, but
Yeah,
I didn't bring it up. We didn't talk about it.
like, thanks for the effort, though. Thanks for the effort.
yeah. I
Yeah.
appreciate the effort. Totally, totally. I didn't know. I don't know. I didn't know you could find another version of it in the States. I don't think I've ever seen anyone other than yours.
No, there's a couple who do import small quantities. You might find it in one-off liquor stores or independent liquor chains that pride themselves on a wide variety. So they're out there if you look for them. But again, it's the Hofbrau Munich is the one that's that's the most well known and best distributed. I would say probably best distributed in the United States in terms of the other Bavarian Hofbrau brands. So
When I was there, so much. I mean, it's just you walk in, you're like, oh my God, this is the place, right? This is it. And one of the biggest things was the size of the place. Like, it was a busy day. I think we were in there on a Saturday or something, a nice warm day. And we walk in. I was like, I don't think we're going to find a table. And we just kept walking and walking and walking because the place just never ran out of space. And you finally found some spots that were there. And then there was a whole upstairs too we could have gone to. The place is massive.
There's 2 more floors. There's 2 more floors.
Okay.
Yeah. So
yeah, we didn't even get up that way. It was like, oh, this place is humongous.
yeah, the second floor is called the beer stube, and that's more set up like a restaurant with some booths and tables and things like that. And the third floor is the fest hall, which is just a long, narrow room, not a hall, just on the third floor with a stage at the end, and that's where they do a lot of live entertainment with bands and dancers, and they'll do a lot of events up there, political events, fundraisers, stuff like that, and everything. So, but the Schwemme, the main floor that you guys were in, the beer hall, that's the floor that's open, pretty much every day of the year, and you'll always find a spot in there. They'll tuck you away in a corner or stick you out in the beer garden. But yeah, they're very proud of the fact that they can serve. I think it's just over 3,000 people a day or something like that. It's a
Wow.
crazy number, but
Yeah.
it's a food factory and a beer churning machine. So
Yeah.
Like over 1 million visitors a year.
Yeah.
I could
Gosh.
see why it was epic. And then we're sitting there, we got our beers, right? And then they're walking through, somebody selling like pretzels, but the
Yeah.
pretzels are the size of your head.
yeah,
I mean, they're massive. It's like,
And
well, of
and
course
I
we
don't
have
know
to get
how
that.
often, yeah, and I don't know how often you guys get over there, but when you do go, when you have gone, is it still that feeling of like, wow?
to me it is. I always, whenever I walk in there, because it's such a historical building to begin with. I mean, it's been there since 1589. I mean, there's been expansions and rebuildings, but I mean, whenever you see pictures, the more or less the same outline that you see today. So, from historical, factors, sitting in a place where, as Jerry mentioned, millions of people have sat before you and enjoyed probably the same beer, and the same pretzel recipes too. So, for me, that's the most impactful part, is just the historical part of it. I love history, and sitting down and actually enjoying living history is even more, sometimes overwhelming.
Yeah, it's kind of Munich in general. I mean, if you appreciate history at all, it's just a wonderful place to be. It's beautiful. It's easily to walk about, and then to go into the Hofbräuhaus itself, where there are so many recognized events and things that have happened there. It's you're inside of history. You're living in history, and it's just incredible to be there.
And one of the things, and you mentioned this word earlier, Bavaria, and Bavarians, they are very proud. That area is Bavaria. They still kind of call it that. They're proud to be there. They're proud to be from there. And that it is, the whole area is screaming with it. And it's, I was prideful to be there. Like, this is cool. This is, if you know what I mean? Like, it's everywhere, and you're not, it's not lost on you.
I try. I mean, and they do. The Bavarians do have an entirely different outlook. I like to tell people Bavarians are kind of like Texans to us. Bavaria considers itself a free state. They can leave Germany anytime they want to, just like Texas does. They also have their own attire, their own way of speaking. I mean, the Lederhosen and Dirndl, that's a very heavily Bavarian thing. And from what I understand, the Bavarian dialect and certain words they use is extremely limited to them. Elsewhere in Germans elsewhere can really pick out Bavarians, quite easily. So, but they're very proud of that distinction, and they wear it as a badge of pride. The brewery always jokes anything sold outside of Bavaria is an export. So,
Yeah, I picked up on that everywhere you went, and I loved it. We just
yeah.
loved that culture. As a
And
matter of fact, when I got back, the first thing I wanted to get, and I haven't done it yet, I want to build a maypole in the backyard, because they're everywhere,
Mhm.
and they're
Yeah.
so cool. I want
Well,
to,
and
not one that's 100 feet tall, but
yeah.
Your neighbors
Why
might have
not?
a problem with that.
yeah, probably so.
And Scott and I were talking about his trip when he went there. We were talking about it in a podcast episode, just because we talk, all kinds of beer, craft beer as well. And I was like, "Do you see much craft beer over there?" And it's not. Scott, talk about that experience too, because it's very traditional.
It's very
Yeah.
traditional. You're in that area, that's all you're going to find. Yeah, Steve, go ahead. Please take that.
Yeah, they do have. I mean, there's a few upstart breweries there and everything, but they do try to, still brew towards tradition. There's some guys out there that are trying to do things a little differently, which is it's not frowned upon. That they're willing to to try new styles and welcome new people in as well. It was it's just it depends too, because our head brewer down there, I just remember a few years back, there were some comments being made about from American brewers about how Reinheitsgebot was holding back, Germany's brewers from becoming, great brewers and everything. And our head brewer Rolf said, I can paint a portrait with 4 colors. They need more paint than I do."
Yeah.
So, you know, So again, there's a skill to using 4 ingredients and getting everything you do out of that without having to, add, other ingredients and along the lines like that. So I think a lot of it comes down to pride. They're just very prideful the fact that they do things the way they do. And but again, there have been some new upstarts there that have been welcomed. There's an annual something you guys might want. I never get the name right, but there is an annual brewing competition held there. It's like Blanc Fest or something like that, where all different beers from all over Germany compete, more or less could be kind of like our Great American Beer Festival. So
Okay.
it's a really fun event, and all the breweries get involved. Even our brewery every year puts in a couple entries, something a little different that the brewers put together. And but again, yeah, they're not closed-minded. They're open to it, but they're also very, very heavily guided by tradition. So,
Which has served them for 400 or 500 years. So
right,
there's
right.
something to that.
Yeah.
Well, and we won't get too much into the technical aspect of the brewing, but on your website and things like that, it really talks about certain aspects of it, like the water, for example, how important that is, and the other you talk about 4 ingredients. I mean, that's what they're doing, and they haven't changed after over what 400 years.
Yeah. Yeah, 530 something now, so 1589.
Yep.
So yeah, yeah, and they just they just drilled the new well. I want to say a year ago at the brewery. So all the Munich breweries all draw from the same well under Munich. So the 6 Munich breweries, those are the ones limited to Oktoberfest. So and that well is, I forget how many meters, 10,000 meters or something crazy like that. So the water they use is prehistoric water, which is ultimately pure and as the brewing qualities that they best, that they need best to brew the beers they do. So, but yeah, they're the water again. That's the key part of it, and the wells in Munich have some of the best water. So
We've got a brewery in Nashville called Nashville Brewing Company. I don't know if you guys have heard of them. And they're part of Blackstone here in Nashville. And Nashville Brewing Company does traditional German style beers. And they get all of their ingredients from Germany. Everything comes from there, except the water, right? That's the only thing they can't duplicate is that. And they're fantastic beers, and they've been complimented from people in Germany coming over and finding one of the closest, beers to what they drink. But he goes, one thing I can't duplicate is the water.
yeah.
I mean, the biggest brewers, they try to duplicate water from around the world for the brands that they brew in America, but it's very difficult. It can't be done without a lot of chemical interaction and everything else. So it's not even worth messing with. Just quote from
Right.
you.
Well, and Scott Murdy, who we've had on our podcast before, who owns Nashville Brewing Company, he's been over to Munich. We've done. He is all things history of that type of the brand of beer, and we've had him on our podcast a few times. we did an Oktoberfest episode with him last year, and he's just an encyclopedia of everything he knows. So, he's like one of you guys. It's so
Well,
much fun to listen to those stories.
actually, I listened to that podcast, and I took notes from him to use tonight. Just like,
Jerry, you
He
should
would love
quiz us
that.
on
He
that.
would love that.
Jerry, you should quiz us on that because we probably won't get any of the answers right, and we were on
no test tonight.
it. But
No, he would love that though. Yeah.
yeah, but Scott, in that episode, even a little bit prior to that, he kind of probably paved the way for us, or set the wheels in motion for us learning about kind of lagers and Oktoberfest and things, and we would learn more. And then he was talking about Bavaria before I even knew it was a thing, and before I had been, and the stories and stuff. So he kind of set the tone for this, and probably ultimately for you guys being here, because just because it became more and more, we're more and more interested in it, and more of an appreciation for it. Like, oh my God, this,
Well,
this
you have to think about Bavaria and beers, and Germany in general on beers, and most of the areas of Germany have their own particular style. So you have like Rausch beer comes from Bamberg, and Dortmunder comes from Dortmund, and Schwarz beer comes from Kronbach, or I can't pronounce it, and I'll mess up some of the pronunciations. Um, Berliner Weiss from Berlin, obviously, and you have alt beer from Dusseldorf and Kolsch from Cologne, but those are all one. But if you look at Bavaria and the styles that come from Bavaria, it's Helles, Dunkel, Hefeweizen, Westbier, Marzen, Bach, Maybach, Doppelbock. I mean, it is beer central. It's an incredible place to go if you love beer, if you love beer.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Another thing I love just being over there is, like, we would take a train, because we went to Austria too, and we kind of went back and forth. We started in Munich and ended in Munich, but we went to Traunstein. But the train rides are fantastic, because you'd get into the train station and you go into the store, and everybody else that I was with, they're beer drinkers, but there were wine drinkers too. But you would just grab bottles of stuff and just take it on the train with you, and you would
Yeah.
just, I'd be like, I'd spend $1.50 on, a bottle of a Weiss, or anything that was just
Yeah.
in the store. Like, let me get 3 or 4 of these things for the train ride. But it was all those kinds. It was all those styles. Everything you found were those styles that you just mentioned.
Right.
Well, the breweries there do try to stick to their local beers as well. So you won't find very seldom will you find a Bavarian brewer making like an alt or Kolsch or something like that. They have a kind of like an unwritten respect for each other, that, hey, that's your styles, these are our styles. And so it's it's very limited that you see that kind of crossover happening there. So, I mean, obviously there are some larger regional, I don't think there's quite any more national brands in Germany, but for the most part, because you do have such wonderful choices locally, that are, just amazing beers that you really don't need to go too far to find something you like.
Jerry, I would like to talk, because we mentioned at the top of this thing, you cover multiple states. Are you finding differences in the markets between all those states, and as it relates to Hofbrau beer? Is everybody kind of getting the same thing at the same time? Or?
Well, so we have some markets that we're very well established in, and they're generally ahead of the game, and we use those as examples for developing markets, where we want to spread more business. Um, the upper Midwest in particular is very, very strong. There's a very strong German influence. For instance, we were first officially imported into Frankenmuth, Michigan in 1987, because it was a very strong German community, and the community leaders and a couple businesses actually went and sought out the brand, went to Munich and convinced them that they could bring it into the United States, into Frankenmuth. And there are other areas like that around the country, but you get in those very strong areas, and like I said, we use those as examples, reasons to sell a beer in other places. So it does spread. It just takes a little longer to get to some of those areas. And part of it is, so I'm 5 hours from Nashville. I can't get there very often, and I have other areas that sell a lot of beer that I have to be at more often. So part of the reason you don't see quite as much there is it's because I just can't get there to help our wholesaler out. If I could get there as often as I like, and I love country music, so I should be there more often. But if I could get there more often, we would be doing better. I would come down and we could go to several places where I could buy you dinner.
Oh, nice.
There you go.
We take you up on
Yeah,
that.
be wearing these, But
Well,
but you-
They were
but,
kind
but
of warm down there sometimes.
yeah. Maybe
Yeah.
when it's a little cooler. But Jerry, being that you're up in Cincinnati area, where I'm from, and Scott's been there with me, but I probably have been to Hofbräuhaus over there in Newport, Kentucky, across the river from Cincinnati. It opened over 20 years ago.
Right.
I probably have been there about 10 times.
Yeah.
And talk about that location because I think it's fantastic, and I think
What-
it serves the area really, really well.
Yeah, it's a beautiful location. I mean, it's convenient to the major sports stadiums. Uh, Really, it was supposed to be in Cincinnati, but the Cincinnati leadership at the time couldn't get it together, and Newport kind of swooped in and had a facility for them and everything else, and just found a great area. Beautiful, beautiful beer garden, very, very walkable all around that whole area. And that I think I'm correct. That was the very first one in the United States was in Newport.
Yeah,
Las
that
Vegas.
was well, that's the first one that was a brew pub. Vegas and then
Yeah.
Newport were yep. So, but
Yeah.
Vegas is imported beer.
Yeah. So, and I think what makes it work so well is the German heritage of the whole area. As over the Rhine and all the breweries in the brewing tradition there. And it was the same thing in northern Kentucky. Lots of breweries there. Tremendous German heritage and brewing tradition. So, it just made so much sense for it to be there. And so the location is phenomenal. Just a great place to be. And they they're well run. The beer is incredible. It's a fun place, and
It is.
I can proudly say and gladly say they've been open for 20 years and they haven't changed much in 20 years. Thank goodness.
Yeah.
It's just that's good. And it's the place where you go for Father's Day. It's the place you go for graduations. It's bachelor parties. It's the place. So if anybody's anywhere near Newport, Kentucky, Cincinnati, stop by the Hofbräuhaus.
Yeah, definitely. Like I said, I have a lot of great memories there. And as you said, it's very, very like up there. There's a big German heritage on my mom's side. There's a big German heritage on my mom's side in my family. We found out years ago that like her family migrated from like Germany and France to Cincinnati in like the mid 1800s. And that's when you started seeing a big influx. So I every time I've been to Hofbräuhaus, I'm like, man, I'd love to keep coming back here. And the other thing that we haven't talked too much about is the food. There's also a lot of great German food there too.
Yeah.
Well, absolutely, and I'll turn this one over to Steve because he's more of a foodie than I am. I'm a drinky. He's a foodie.
Yeah.
Well, the franchise division, the franchise restaurants like that, they all have a set menu, recommended menu, with they call them the I believe that's the Bavarian specialties or Hofbrau specialties, and those are ones that the recipes almost exactly mirrored to what you're going to enjoy at the Hofbräuhaus in Munich. So obviously they try to do the best to get the same ingredients, the same, process and everything. So those are ones signature dishes that, you're going to try. You'll get them at every Hofbräuhaus, and they're going to be as close to what you enjoy in Munich as possible. And then obviously too, depending on location, they have to give a little, local taste to it. And then at that point, the chef there will put on a couple things on the menu that might be more relevant to what's available locally. Like Cleveland, I believe they put walleye on the menu or pierogies, so everybody has a little touch to it. But yeah, for the most part, the Schweinsachsen, the schnitzel, a majority of those main dishes that Germans are known for, and particularly that the ones that they do a lot of at the Hofbräuhaus, the roasted chicken, that's one of the main ones too. So those are all ones that we try to make certain that all the kitchens produce as closely to the same recipe as what you enjoy in Munich. So